Hello, you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, which I cannot believe was not a season finale. I'm a little worked up. Actually, that got me like pretty emotional. That was a hell of an experience. Going to be diving all in to spoilers for The Last of Us Episode 2. If you haven't seen it, don't watch this. Experience it yourself. I'm going to be diving into the entirety of the episode, where I think things are going, and the intensity that was one of the craziest hours of TV I've personally ever seen. Before I get to that, please do hit that subscription bell. We are past 45K. We are on the road to 50K. This page does movie reviews, TV reviews, and lots of comic book stuff. When we hit 50K, doing a 50 comic giveaway, sending you guys 50 comics. Please also like this video. There's lots of Last of Us coverage. Please like it to show the algorithm this is one of the good ones. And please leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this episode and my experience of it. All right, without further ado, Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. I did not play the games. This review is coming from the perspective of a big fan of the Season 1 and a casual fan of the first game that I played some of. Never played the second game, knew there were twists and turns, and had, through osmosis of pop culture, presumed Joel died. Spoilers for the episode, I already warned you. I thought it happened at the end. I assumed that it was in like the penultimate episode, and then you'd have basically, you know, the Bella Ramsey character finding and killing whoever killed Joel. I thought that was going to be the penultimate episode, because this show's done an incredible job at all times of morality and ethics and shades of gray. And you've got the zombie fight, and that is the fight for humanity, but you've also got the fight for each individual's own humanity. So we knew at the end of Season 1, when Joel killed all those people, that was going to have ramifications, or I assumed it would have ramifications, and it was, what's the greater good? Saving her, saving Ellie, being able to potentially get a cure. But as we've seen, the cure has not developed. Like, we've not seen anything come from that idea. So killing all those people for saving one person, and that being his daughter, it's judging all of those decisions made and the violence therein. And I thought that was a fascinating end to Season 1. Here we see that come to a head. We see the consequences of those murders, the 18 doctors, 18 soldiers and one doctor, and basically all of that is embodied in these soldiers, these other fireflies, no longer fireflies, these wolves, and Abby. What's crazy is they were able to basically make that all in the first two episodes, where I was already questioning, like, but we haven't moved into any sort of cure. We don't even have people know that she's immune, potentially. We have so many questions. So I was like, man, I assume that this episode being so action-packed, and by the way, this felt like a Lord of the Rings-esque scope. This felt like some of the scenes I've seen of Game of Thrones, just this insane melee that felt like defending, you know, the two towers in the Lord of the Rings saga. This was such an intense hour of TV, and the action was so well choreographed and brutal and interesting. And I love the morality of, like, Joel saved her, but she's been on this mission for 5 years. She, you know, it's the man who killed her father. All of that was just incredible, looking at your own worldview. Obviously, we as viewers care about Joel. That's why I'm like emotional. Like, this was very built up and worked up. But what's fascinating is, you know, Abby's speech, it brings you back to some of the thoughts, at least I had at the end of Season 1, of like, these are people's families, and these people are doing the job that Joel was just doing. And obviously we're on Joel's POV, but the POV of all these other people, what is their family like? And rarely does genre content let you have that much weight throughout the season, much less into the second season, in my experience. Like, this really lets you live in it, and Abby's speech really catches you up. Now, I will say, I wish we'd had a little bit more time to invest in Abby somewhat, so we could have some sort of compassion beyond that one speech. Caitlin Dever is a fantastic actress, but I don't feel like I felt the military of her. I believe the father, and I believe the humanity, and I believe all the things about the journey she's been on, but like, she doesn't move military to me, and she's not built like military to me. I don't know if the character in the games is like 6 foot or something, but there is an element of like plausible deniability of, you know, her militariness. But you cast a great actress, you're letting a great actress do the work about her father and about the experience therein. Also, you know, she's killing him with a tools, so the physical wasn't as important. But then when like, it's hard when like just punching and you're like this giant dude and then this small framed girl. But I do think the acting was strong enough that it kind of was able to be in like temper. I was able to be like, yeah, I guess But I wish we'd gotten to know Abby, the character, a little bit more, so we'd be more conflicted. Because we'd obviously spent all this time with Joel, so Abby's just an antagonist. Now, if she's going to just stay an antagonist, we still have a little bit of a man. The horrors that Ellie is going to have to do to continue this cycle of violence of like, you killed me, I killed you, to, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. But obviously that's what's going to need to happen for the audience to get catharsis. But also we do know a little where they're all coming from. Then we've got just the piece of crap feeling from Danny Ramirez. Danny Ramirez's character is just annoying and treating, he doesn't know Ellie and he's just being a piece of crap to her. So I'm wondering if there's going to be shades of bad. And we've got the beard guy who actually reads military. Him and the Asian woman with the shaved head, they both read military enough to me that I'm like, oh, I see them as military. Those two seem to have a little compassion and like that going on. The girl from Runaways, she seemed to have compassion. So I like that we're playing with, even though they've been on this mission for 5 years, even though this was set out, they're still human. They're still experiencing how awful this was. So it's crazy that in an episode where there's so much violence, that felt so violent. It's really impressive that we've got this entire safety of humanity in Jacksonville, Wyoming, being overrun by these zombies, and that's hyper violent. Like the flamethrower, the guns, the pillaging, like the zombies just pillaging the town, ransacking everything, the fear of the children, like this one safe haven. And the more horrible thing is just the one-on-one violence between Abby and Joel. And that was impressive that was captured. I got that. And then Ellie's trauma at the end. So those are all my positives. Hyper impressed with the violence feeling that brutal, with the emotionality, with me caring about Joel from 2 years ago enough that 2 episodes in, this hurt so bad. Pedro Pascal, man, I always say, like, dude just seems like somebody you'd want to have a beer with. So that connectivity is essential. But man, that was rough. Negative for me is the military element is a negative, but the other negative would be I feel like Ellie doesn't read as 5 years older as much as Joel does, and therefore when she's saying, like, she swears all the time, and it feels like they're trying to like have her swear to age her up. But it's like when a kid is swearing and you're like, okay, I guess that's language you'd use to sound grown. It does feel a little extra. So her trying to be tough, I get, as part of the character, but also I feel like they're also trying to establish her as tough herself. So if she keeps trying to act tougher, it is undermining her actual whatever level of toughness. If she's, say, power scaling in like a video game, like if she's an 8 toughness, her acting tough makes her feel like a 6. And if we need to believe that she's an 8, that doesn't quite work. But I'm hoping that over time that kind of fleshes itself out and it feels more balanced. I really like the Asian dude that's like the leader of this young group. He's fantastic. He's so captivating and interesting, and I really like the limited screen time he's had, how much you care about his character. I think Isabella Merced is such an asset to the show because she's barely got screen time in this episode, but you care about when she gets knocked out. You see the relationship with her and Joel as established in only one episode, in the first episode. That moment of weakness and protectiveness of her is very apparent, and her energy is always just fascinating, where she's just able to do so much with just a few glances or a couple lines. So really impressed with her there. I think the only negative is just the military element of our Abby and the extra language of Ellie trying to be tough. But I'm hoping that grows a little bit more. I think Bella Ramsey is so good in the first season that maybe the bar is so high. A lot of times kid actors, as they grow up, there's like a self-consciousness that happens in all teens and young adults, that some kid actors aren't as good as adult actors until they cycle back into like whatever mode. A lot of some kid actors never come back into it. Some kid actors stay a certain way, but I see a lot of times like the late teens, early 20s, there's a performativeness that happens. And I wonder if it's like a psychological thing. I wonder if it's just like different acting skill thing, or I wonder if we just look at adult performances differently than young performances. But I am noticed that Bella Ramsey doesn't quite feel right in this season as much to me. But again, it's only 2 episodes in. Very, very good episode of television. One of the most incredible displays of like throwing all your money at the screen and building something that's this huge world. One of the most incredible displays of emotionality between like this violence that you're like, I'm obviously on Joel's side, but even if you have that 2% understanding of what Abby's going through, there's a little bit of that, man, humanity is such a mess. And I will say, to close this out, I don't love hyper-violence. It's just not a thing I enjoy. I don't love shows that feel aggressive in a mean-spirited way. Like, I didn't even watch Game of Thrones. I've watched some of Game of Thrones. I've seen like the first season, the last season, and the Red Wedding. And that's why I was like, I think some of this is like Game of Thrones because I've seen scenes. But I just don't like shows that feel like they're mean to you investing in characters. And I get that that's the world. But I don't invest in the news and the world as much as I do in fiction, because I like to stay optimistic about humanity. So usually this would not be my type of show, is the reason I say all this. The mean-spirited nature of the style of dystopia is always hard for me, just because I love humanity and I love people. So this was really hard because I was like conflicted even by a little of like what everyone's going through, but that's a testament to how good the show is. So I just want to give credit to my not enjoying myself while watching it is a testament to the quality of it. And I'll be finishing the show, but this isn't usually my thing, but I wanted to share my thoughts and experience. What an hour of TV. I hope you enjoyed this little conversation. I hope to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of The Last of Us episode 2 of season 2. Really impressed with the fights, really impressed with the scope, really impressed with the CGI, extra impressed with the production design and character design and practical effects. The scope and sprawl was so amazing because we could actually feel tangibility in a lot of the scenes. Obviously, plenty of CGI here and there, but there was a tangibility. Loved the inventiveness of their attack and their defense, and the flamethrowers meets the barrels launching out, and the way you could actually see them training. I loved Gabriel Luna. I think I said Diego Luna last week because there's 2 Lunas I know, and I swapped them. I think it's Gabriel Luna. Gabriel Luna as a leader, I totally bought. He was incredible. Him and his wife absolutely seem like they're in lockstep. And I loved the scene of them talking through the training and like, if you do this, we do this, this, and this. I really felt like this was a plan they had, and that's what you'd have to do to survive in this kind of environment. So really impressed that world building, and then really impressed with his action scene of like, this is what the system would have to be, and all the defenses they had and stuff. Really cool. And the horror movie scenes of Abby running and like her in that fence coming down and all this stuff. You feel the video game inspiration. You feel the moments you would have to basically play through a mode, but they do it so well cinematically to make you feel like you're playing, but also living and all those things. And I think this is one of the great video game adaptations, having only played some of the first game. So very, very impressed overall with those flaws I mentioned therein. Like I said, leave a comment below, leave a like on this video so I know you like this video. And if you haven't subscribed already and you're watching this to the end, please hit that subscription bell. Let's get to 50K. All right, much love. What an episode of TV, man. We'll see you next week for The Last of Us episode 3. See me on Tuesday for Andor episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 2. And because I just finished Daredevil up. And on Friday, I believe we get The Accountant. So I'll have that review up on Thursday for The Accountant 2. Lots of stuff coming this week. Hit subscribe. All right, much love, guys. Bye.